Welcome to Locked On Marlins, guys. It's the Tuesday episode. It's a solo pod, and I'm asking the question, almost putting forward the suggestion. Should the Marlins extend Kim Ang before the season starts, allowing her to focus on the baseball side without worrying about the offseason and making moves that could hinder the Marlins in the future with the all-in mentality? Going to dig into that. Plus, want to talk about Jean Segura, the great British baseball team, of course, and also Edward Cabrera, all on today's Locked On Marlins.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings from England and welcome to Locked On Marlins. This, of course, is your daily Marlins podcast. I'm your host, Peter Pratt. Hit me up on Twitter at @MiamiMarlins_UK. If you are listening, hit subscribe to that pod. Wherever you get them, it is free and available. It is your team every day. There is a YouTube channel also, which is called Locked On Marlins. Head over to there. Hit subscribe as well. I am ex-Marlins media, now just a fan of the podcast, bringing you this daily Marlins smoke. And I think today is maybe the right time to talk about Kim Ang. This contract situation is going slightly under the radar, so I wanted to bring it to life. However, what certainly came to life overnight, it was pretty UK-friendly, was the great British baseball team with their first ever victory in the WBC. It's the first time they have made the tournament and qualified, and they get their first win against Colombia. Harry Ford with a bomb, another bomb from Harry Ford. There's back-to-back bombs from Harry Ford. He was crowned, which I absolutely love that celebration, by the way. The Great British team have caught plenty of flack, for their jerseys, which have looked pretty terrible and basic. However, the boys on the field have definitely delivered, and their celebrations, the T celebration, nice. The home run celebration with the crown, equally nice. Huge win for the Great British baseball team. And if they are now hoping and praying maybe that the results go their way in the next couple of games, because if the British team finish fourth in this group, they will automatically qualify for the 2026 tournament. No qualifiers required. They will know they are in. Big couple of days for the British team. However this plays out, they have absolutely covered themselves in glory in terms of their performances over the past few days. So we'll wait and see how it all goes. Exciting times. It's great to see it in the UK here too. You've got the mainstream media actually covering baseball. Who would have thought that baseball would be covered by the BBC? But it could be the start of something special here, guys. As you know, the London series came in 2019. It's coming back this year. They're continuing to grow baseball here in the UK. And this only helps. Where more eyeballs are seeing the game, it will lead to more kids, more adults being interested in the game, which is only good for the future anyway. So absolutely tip my cap to the British team, no doubt. And thank you for all that reached out on Twitter, congratulating me. Equally, for those that are the Colombians that equally were feeling a little bit bullish, I would say, before the game. They did reach out to say well done and congrats to the Great British team as well. So wait to see what happens in the rest of this tournament. But boy, oh boy, it has been a stunning tournament for Great Britain, and actually more generally, the tournament has been wild. Anyway, let's talk about Kim Ang, because it's something that's been playing on my mind for some time. However, this episode is brought to you by Ultimate Baseball GM, and it's the perfect sponsor for this episode, no doubt. Have you ever dreamed of becoming an MLB GM and managing your baseball franchise? Then this game is definitely for you. To download the game, just visit ultimatebaseballgm.com or look it up on the app stores. Our listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On. It's all caps in the game. So Locked On is your promo, ultimatebaseballgm.com to get that game for free. More about those guys later on. But let's talk about Kim Ang. She enters her final year of her contract in 2023. And I was just thinking about it, that maybe the Marlins could and should, and Bruce Sherman could and should be considering extending Kim now. I feel like since Derek Jeter has gone. Derek Jeter obviously hired Kim Ang, and it wasn't that arduous an interview process. It was basically like, hey, Kim, are you interested? Yeah, I am. Okay, cool. You've got the job. So that's maybe how Derek Jeter worked in general, where he just kind of hired in people that he knew. And that seemed to be a bit of a flawed concept. When Kim has now been in the organization, my overarching view is that Kim Ang has been a success in the main as a first-time GM. And I'd say that she deserves the opportunity to carry on beyond this year. I completely get it that people will say we need to see the results first. We need to see what the Marlins can do in 2023. In some ways, that is fair, and that is the measuring stick for GMs, wins and losses. And listen, if the Marlins lose or only win 69 games again in 2023, that will be a disappointing season for the Marlins, no doubt about it. However, clearly, like last year, so much can go on, so much can happen that leads to that result. You have to look at the way things are trending, the approach that the organization is taking. They're in a transitionary phase right now where you've gone from Donnie to Skip. The roster in the past 2 off seasons has been heavily adjusted via trades and free agency, and there's going to be plenty more of that to come. And I feel like overall, the majority of moves in terms of the playing staff, the coaching staff, are really positive. Equally, I feel like the vibe around the ballpark is positive. And you only have to look at, what is the measuring stick here? In some ways, Kim is perfectly justified in being extended because of the extension they managed to negotiate with Sandy Alcantara, which is one of the most stunning deals, out there in terms of value. Like, she nailed it. And actually, when I look at Kim's trades in the main, and that's the other way that you measure GMs, right? In terms of their trade, wins and losses and et cetera, et cetera. I think you look at the majority of trades that Kim has been able to execute, and there's barely an L in there. A lot of them, in my opinion, are dubs. I go back and look at particularly the Starling Marte, Jesus Luzardo deal. Yes, ideally you would have extended Starling Marte, because he certainly would have filled the need, and the need continues to exist. However, once that situation it became clear an extension wasn't going to happen at that point, to go and acquire Jesus Luzardo as part of that deal is a stunning deal. And I often look at the deals and just think they're wins. Really are. I struggle to find one that there's been a big fat L. In reality, the Pablo Lopez, Luis Arias deal is probably the highest profile, highest risk in some ways that Kim has been involved in. However, early indications are Luis Arias looks like a stud. Can the rotation hold up? Can Johnny Cueto step up and, kind of solidify that 3, 4, 5 spot in the rotation? And, you're asking for Luzardo to step up and be the 2. You're asking for Trevor Rogers. Can he return and bounce back? I think he can. You're asking Edward Cabrera, can you give me a full body of work? And then you're asking Cueto just to be a 4 or 5. I'm liking what they've doing. They've changed the direction. This is the other thing for Kim and with Skip. They've clearly had a move away from the past and the type of profile and player that the Marlins were seeking. And for me, I think it's definitely worth going in a different direction. What they've done previously didn't quite work. And I think when we look at the free agent acquisitions in obviously Jorge Soler and Avisail Garcia, it's a bit spotty in that area though, right? But, we'll see how Cueto goes. We'll see how Jean Segura goes. But overall, I think Kim Ang's body of work in totality, it's been positive, in my opinion. The results haven't been. So I completely get it. Is it too soon to extend Kim? I don't think it is. And personally, I would do it now. So it takes away A, the narrative, B, the distraction right now. If Kim knows, maybe she already does. And so this might be, total nonsense or a waste of time. Kim may already know that she's going to be extended. We don't know that. But if she doesn't, then that would likely be a distraction. Then all of a sudden you're in a contract year, a prove it year, and next thing is you start making decisions, short-term decisions, to try to improve wins and losses in 2023 that might, in the next 3 seasons, really hamper your club. I'm not saying that's what you do, but I'm saying if you have a job to fight for and you have these decisions to make, you're going to be looking after yourself too and looking to, get the Marlins to a number that they feel is satisfactory in terms of wins and losses and that will keep her job. I prefer that not to be the case. We have to look at the division in the NL East. It is loaded. I think looking at wins and losses in some ways is a real tough measuring stick. In looking at the position in the division, it's a real tough measuring stick. And in some ways, you'd like Kim and the Marlins to see this as more of a midterm project at this point. The original rebuild phase from Derek Jeter and everything they stripped away and built back up, in reality, was slightly flawed. They missed the mark. There's too many guys and too many prospects that haven't worked, leaving too many holes and not enough depth right now for the Marlins to truly compete. With that being said, they kind of need to take a bit of a step back and a medium-term approach, in my opinion. And I'd love for Kim to have that longer-term vision, along with Skip Schumacher, to not make knee-jerk reactions to try and protect or save her job. Not to say that's what she'd do, but if you were feeling under pressure, under the gun, and you come around to the deadline, would you perhaps act differently? Look to add, where maybe adding isn't quite the right move. I don't know. I must say one of the flaws, well, what I would say with Kim and the way that she operates is where there's a flaw, she does look to address it. We saw it with the catching position 2 off seasons ago, went out, acquired Jacob Stallings. No doubt Stallings offensively hasn't been amazing, but defensively it was a massive, massive upgrade. At the time, they needed depth, infield depth. Went and got Joey Wendell. They needed some power. They wanted more power. They went out and got Jorge Soler, Avisel Garcia. Yes, it didn't quite work out with either of those guys, but there's still time. Coming into this offseason, right, we need more contact guys. There's too much strikeout, too much swing and miss. Let's go and get Luis Arias. Let's go and get Jean Segura and plug those gaps. I understand the center field situation remains a problem, no doubt about it. Tons to get into here on Kim Ang, no doubt. Let's continue this conversation. But let's also let you know about our brand new sponsor. Yes, sir. And those new graphics are there front and center for you. And it's the Ultimate Baseball GM. And listen, this is one to geek out on. I'm a big simulation guy, tons of OOTP, but this one's got me going as well. And it's our new partner, and it's the mobile game Ultimate Baseball GM. And if you've ever dreamed of becoming basically a GM like Kim Ang, then and managing a professional baseball franchise, well, your dream can come true, and this game is definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, and lead your team to glory. You're responsible for hiring the right coaches and staff, managing team finances, scouting and drafting players, something that the Marlins definitely need to improve on, managing difficult personalities. Oh boy, we got the locker room vibes going in there too. Also navigating your franchise through free agency, all the ups and downs of a season. It's all in there, all in this challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Baseball GM. Here's the other good news. It's completely free and playable offline and on the go. So as you want, when you want to. I've downloaded it. I've got it rolling. I am currently playing as the Honolulu Waves. And I'm not going to lie, I have got some nice looking corner outfielders actually. Also seem to be struggling in the DH spot. Need some more power there. So I'm trying to work on this roster, brand new roster, but the Honolulu Waves are looking interesting for me. What have you got to do? Well, you got to get to, here's the offer. Start there. I'm jumping ahead. You got to get yourselves over to probaseballgm.com or scan the code or look it up on the app stores. probaseballgm.com. Start your dynasty today. You can get 100% free boost to the franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store, and that's all caps, by the way. So Locked On gets you that boost. Get there, get it downloaded right now. You can also play with friends in leagues. So if you can all get it downloaded, get the action rolling, we can have a Marlins Twitter, Ultimate Pro Baseball GM. Go get it now, guys, and enjoy, and let me know how you get on. Right then, back to the action here. Just to summarize here on Kim Ang, for me, she spots weaknesses. We talked about it. Catcher, went and solved it. Power, went and solved it. Contact, went and solved it. Bullpen this offseason, went and solved it. For me, Kim, she sees where there's a problem and she tries to make things happen. It doesn't always come off. It never will. Yes, there's still some holes. We know that. But I've been encouraged. Every trade she makes, I feel encouraged. I can see the plan. Skip Schumacher and his staff are in. I can see the plan. I'd love Kim to just have the knowledge that she's going to be around for the next, well, beyond this year, and make sure that her head is clear away from that. We don't get distracted by that narrative. Is she going to be extended? Is she not? Let's just get it done now so she can concentrate on all the stuff that she wants to. And for me, one of the next big things is, can they reach an extension with Jazz Chisholm Jr.? For me, it's the next major order of business once the season gets rolling. We've started to see it more and more recently. These young studs, they're getting extended earlier than ever before. And the Marlins, in my opinion, I've said it probably on multiple episodes, they need to make it happen for sure. Let me know what you're thinking, though, guys. I put it out there on Twitter earlier. It's fair to say most people were saying feels too soon. And I completely understand that because the results have not been good. They haven't. Completely get it. Let's also go back to where we were clamoring for a pay BA situation. And Kim said, hey, I'm just going to take stock and see. Pay BA. In some ways, you'd say that was the right call. Kim seems to make the right call more often than not. I fully trust her, and I really like the staff she's been building. I also like the fact that she's bringing in a lot more old baseball minds into the organization. Not afraid to do it, and not afraid to bring back the Marlins alum, too. It feels to me all the right decisions are being made. The Marlins, I feel like, are trending in the right direction, albeit in what is a brutal division due to the money being spent by all the other teams. Let's briefly touch on some of the other news. I've kind of flicked around a bit here. I really wanted to get into Team GB early on for obvious reasons. I want to talk about Kim. I also want to talk about Jean Segura. I mentioned this on yesterday's episode, and I also put it out there on Twitter. I have to say I'm disappointed with Jean Segura. This is the situation here. Jean, new to the organization, has just signed, a free agent deal and brand new into the Marlins. And he's being asked to do something potentially a little bit different for him, being asked to go over there at third base. So position change in a new organization at a time where there would be, and a new coaching staff to everyone. It feels to me like a time that you'd want to be in and around your guys, playing as often together as possible, taking reps at third base, taking reps at third base with Joey Wendell at short, whatever it might be. And for Jean Segura, I get it. The WBC is a vibe, right? Like we can see that it looks a lot of fun. Clearly, the guys are hyped, and the Dominican roster is obviously absolutely loaded. And in some ways, that's kind of like, I understand why Jean would do that, but at the same time, he's riding the bench. Like Jean Segura, he ain't playing for the DR. He's riding this bench, and he's just going to be, a pinch hit here or there, a bat boy, just a cheerleader, effectively. And for me, as a Marlins fan, I'm disappointed that he's made that decision to go and play. We look at Miggy Rowe, for example. There's loads of other guys, but I think Miggy Rowe was a great example where someone goes down, Gavin Lux goes down, Miggy's going to be asked to be stepping in as a starter. Hey, I wanted to be there with Venezuela for obvious reasons, but I'm going to prioritize my new club and making sure I'm ready to go at the major league level once the season gets rolling. So just wanted to call that out on Mean Gene. Everyone's different. Everyone's got their own choices. But overall, I'm disappointed. Edward Cabrera, on a briefly touch on him, he didn't start. He got pushed back a day and then also didn't face the Mets, which seemed a bit odd. He ended up pitching on the backfields and went a little bit less than expected. I think he was expected to go 4 innings, only went 3. Sources, well, I messaged Jordan McPherson and asked him what his view was because he's closer to the action than me. And he came back to say nothing to worry about. I think he maybe had an upset stomach or some sorts in the past day or two. So just a precaution with Eddie. Nothing major. Upset stomach. Maybe not feeling great, feeling 100%. Just keep the routine, but not have to go full gas against the Mets. So with that being said, let's talk about our good friends as well over at FanDuel. Yes, sir. It is FanDuel as well, and it's probably beyond the midway point of the NBA season. We're almost getting to the playoffs now. So it must be the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. All you got to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Safe, secure, super easy to use. You can bet on everything, guys. Everything. Moneyline, point scorers, and number of threes drained. Yes, sir. FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And on the NBA front and the Heat specifically, I saw my good friend as well, Dan Healy, over in Miami right now. He was at the game last night. He is over with his family and his young lad. I think was 11 yesterday. I think I saw maybe 8. I'm getting confused with the age, but either way, it was his birthday. Great to see Dan over there celebrating one of the UK GOATs, originally part of the Fish Across the Pond podcast, but as well done tons of stuff for the Heat covering them. So hope you're listening, Dan. Hope you have a great trip. Hope you keep those dubs rolling. I think he is on a 2-game win streak there for the Heat. So long may that continue. Guys, that's going to wrap us up, though, pretty much for Tuesday's episode. I wanted to get it out there. Great Britain, a baseball powerhouse, first ever win in the WBC. They will be praying that the results go for them and they get 4th place in the pool. It matters so much to GB because it will mean that they will be in the WBC next time around without qualification requirements. And just imagine it, 2026, Jazz Chisholm Jr. playing for Great Britain along with some of these other studs. I mean, Harry Ford, he's 19? 20? Harry Ford? He's going to be around for the next one. He should be a big leaguer by then too. The #1 Mariners prospect, an absolute stud prospect, catcher, no doubt. But imagine that with Jazz. What I would say, and what a few people have said is, if Jazz is going to be playing, he's going to want to be a little bit more involved in some of these jerseys for Team GB. They do need a little bit of finessing or enhancing, let's say. But great to see the boys doing their thing. Hopefully the results go their way. Kim Ang, in my opinion, should be extended now, just so she's got that clarity of mind. I think the Marlins will extend her. I just can't see a situation where they move away from Kim Ang at this point. Let's get it done now. Take that narrative away and allow her and Skip just to work together for the next couple of years and have that midterm view. I'm disappointed with Jean Segura. I think he probably made a selfish call, in my opinion, there. Wanted to go and play for the DR. It's all good. I get it. But in my opinion, he should have stayed back with the Marlins and worked on third base and getting to know his teammates. Edward Cabrera, minor hiccup, but nothing major going on. Overall, he's pitching well thus far, and we expect a strong season out of Edward Cabrera. But he does have that one extra boosted minor league option, the 4th minor league option, which I believe is linked to missing a ton of time in one of the seasons. So they get that back. Sixto Sanchez was optioned down to AAA earlier on today. So Sixto also had that extra minor league option, the 4th minor league option, and the Marlins have decided to exercise it already. So we know going into 2024, Sixto Sanchez will have 0 minor league options. They will have no flexibility. But in reality, it does not matter for Sixto. It is all about, can he continue his rehab without any hiccups, without any setbacks? And we see Sixto Sanchez full go in 2023 or 2024. We hope for that. Thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day, guys. I'll be back tomorrow, of course, a Wednesday's episode, as we dig into today's game going on today. I can see it is the familiar outfield of Jorge Soler, Jazz Chisholm, and Avisail Garcia. The A-team is out. Can the Marlins get a win in spring? We'll cover it tomorrow.